Welcome, welcome to Remembering Grace and Flow. This is Omaji, and the Council of Light is here as well, fully present to bring forward today that which will serve in the highest good and also elevating into the higher timelines and higher potentials that are completely available right now. And the message that is kind of kicking everything off here is, first of all, thank you for choosing to receive and show up and be a deliberate chooser in your power. And secondly is we're lifting off, like we're literally launching right now as beings of light, as a collective, as Gaia, New Earth Gaia is launching. It's all launching. And so if you can connect to it as that, instead of the appearances that may be showing up in your world right now, because when we're in this immense recalibration, immense reorganization that is going on, everything is being restructured. So we're going to see things fall away. We're going to see things move, change, shift in the external. And they're inviting you to connect to that it's happening in order to birth something much better, something much more aligned with the truth of who you are, with the truth of who humanity really is, what all life is, as an extension of an infinite source. And so recognize that because 3D Gaia was really a playground for learning in struggle, learning in duality, we're going to see systems falling away that were built from those energies, or even in some cases with the intention of creating that. So recognize that there is massive shifting going on consciously and unconsciously for all life on the planet right now, whether it looks like it or not. And one of the pieces that we're on the threshold of, that if you're here listening to this, watching this, being present here in this now moment, you're really being invited to notice if you're ready to retire the mechanisms of struggle as a way of evolving. And you can just check in with you. Am I ready? Is it something that feels appropriate for me at this time? And we're going to show you energetically how to look at this mechanism of struggle as a way of evolving without judging it. Because it served a purpose, and it serves a purpose up to a certain point in evolution. And we get to celebrate that we're graduating into this next phase of evolution, this fifth dimensional playground, where evolution is simply the welcoming of more and more of who we are, because we desire to know more and more of who we are, to activate greater joy, greater sovereignty, greater peace within ourselves, greater grace, greater flow within ourselves, because we recognize as a conscious being of light that the external is a reflection. Once we've reached that state of consciousness and we've really mastered that way of perceiving, where we recognize who we really are in truth, even if it's not reflecting yet, but we know it. We know we're an infinite creator. We know this can be a distortion, this external reflection, It doesn't have to define us. It doesn't have to define what's possible for us. Once we've claimed that identity back, who we are, we can retire the mechanisms of struggle because we no longer require struggle as a catalyst to be more of who we are, to evolve more into who we are, to welcome more of who we are. We simply do it because we deeply desire to know ourselves. That becomes the new fanning of the flame, that desire. And we no longer need a fire to be lit from struggle anymore as a motivator. So one of the major steps here in this launch point into fifth dimensional Gaia and into this golden age is really centering ourselves in the truth of who we are, regardless of what the external is doing or not doing, because that is just a reflection. It doesn't define us. It doesn't mean we haven't yet arrived. It doesn't mean we haven't already, we aren't already connected to source. We aren't already infinitely supported. We aren't already free. We aren't already supported. All of that's true regardless of what the external is doing. So are you willing to release all your attachment off the external, even if it's something with health or what you perceive as your mental functioning, or think of it more as, they're wanting to word it this way, releasing your attachment off of the experience of you in the current moment, in the current phase. Bring all that attachment energy off of the experience of you, because we can try to control the experience of ourself as a way of knowing ourselves, but it's not very efficient, and it takes a really long time to kind of weave when we actually have already have an established energetic blueprint of our divine self within our beam of light. So can we show you how to release your attachment off of any appearance or experience of you, of where you're trying to find you or identify you or create you or know you? Bring it back to your column of light that is you, the column of light that is you, emanating from infinite source itself. That you knows it's fully connected, fully supported, fully safe. The energetic grids are already available that support and encourage the remembering of you in an honoring way. In other words, when you activate and access and reference you within your light, that's you, not the reflection, not what's showing up in the mirror. That's the reflection of things running in your field. And the things running in your field aren't you either. They're things we chose at some point, but that doesn't define us. The you, the eternal I am of you, has been completely unscathed by any struggle-based experiences or less than experiences or lack or any unforgiveness that's happening. So if you simply go back to your birthright, to who you really are in truth, and again, we're showing your energetic self how to reference you appropriately within your light. And are you willing to release all the other meaning, definitions, ways of knowing the self that you've been using that are actually distorted, that were probably taught to you or simply agreed to on an unconscious level because everybody else was doing it, so that must be the way? So for whatever reason, are you willing to release and uncreate that, return to sender with love and consciousness what isn't going with you in this auspicious launch point into 5D, fifth dimensional consciousness, unity consciousness. And take a deep breath. And so all of the discordant grids that are currently operating for you to evolve and or know yourself. It's almost like we can have a grid that's 90% accurate, and then there's pieces that are just a little bit off, and they're just enough off that they can create a situation where we're trying to find it through something other than our own blueprint, our own light, our own access to infinite source. So are you willing to allow your higher self, we're going to invite the body to do the same here, to repair any discordant grids and release what isn't appropriate, what is inaccurate, what maybe isn't even yours, or from another incarnation you took on playing a certain role, whether it was a religious authority or a student, of a religious authority, or a tyrant or a victim or a teacher, or they're saying a prophet, or any role, mother, father, sister. Can we begin to release you from identifications that are keeping you locked in to a distorted perception of you? Because some of those roles came with certain agreements. For instance, that you would live in poverty, that you would not speak your truth, that you would obey, that you would comply, go along, fit in. And so when we're attempting to fit ourselves into a mold, we distort our connection with the truth of who we are. And we eventually get lost in that identification, thinking that's us. And over time, over several incarnations, we got more and more separate from, just in consciousness, just in our perception, our truth. And so we're basically inviting the reverse engineering of eons of conditioning that have you in an identification or a mold or an agreement that's keeping you apart from your divine self as your identity and your divine birthright of having access to infinite, because that's who you are in truth. So can we help you by showing you all the lessons you were meant to learn through those false identifications and begin to transition you into, it's like in collaboration with your higher self, giving your higher self appropriate energetic information to transition you into that space of the truth of who you are without the attachment to the roles you've played or to the old past identifications of you, the old ways that you were defining yourself. Are you really willing to know you as a being of light? Are you really willing to release all the perceived limitations and it's like pretend barriers between you and you that you agreed to at some point, or you thought you had to put in place at some point, or you put in place for learning to take place? And so I'm being shown literally this team of light beings, these beautiful light beings that are experts on locating and reorganizing your energetic fields free of these barriers. So locating the barriers, activating the lessons, showing you what's really going on, and to begin to gently reinterpret your relationship with whatever that represents for you. So are you willing to allow that? And are you willing to release all the meaning you've given it? Are you willing to release any allegiance you've pledged to something other than your truth, your light? Especially if it's keeping you from you, or somehow I have to be this for this other teacher or husband or child or friend. Can we show you how to hold all your commitment and loyalty on yourself and your light? Because when you commit to what you are in truth, the beautiful, perfect extension of the divine above all else, can you feel all that you have access to as the truth of who you are? And because oneness is, so if you're perceiving what I'm saying through a lens of separation, it's going to be distorted. So imagine this brilliant sun that is source, that's all things amazing and good and benevolent, and emanating from this brilliant sun are these beams of light, and you are one of those beams of light, but there's really no separation between you and source. So from this perception of oneness, your job is to be your beam. Your job is to be the best beam you can be, and to not interfere with what other beams are doing. Just beam you. And as you stay in your own lane and hold all your loyalty and commitment to your light, which is God, that's when you're in right alignment with source and right alignment with the divine blueprint of oneness. That's when grace and flow is simply a quality that expresses as the side effect of you being you. So we'd like permission to support the part of you that knows this to step forward. And bringing in some energetic downloads, some energetic light codes, some energetic holograms, sounds, light, to support you and to remind you in what it feels like, how to, and that it's safe for you to be loyal and committed to your light, to your truth, to your infinite expression in an authentic way that's in integrity with you, only attached to being in integrity with you, because your unique divine expression has its own codes, its own ways of being that are going to uniquely support the expression of you. And as you merge into this perfect divine design, not attached to needing anything from outside of you, not attached to anyone outside of you showing you what you're doing, you let the divine show you, you let your guides show you in an etheric way how to hold your energy as this master of your own light, because you are a master of your own light. Only you can be you. No one else has the key to this but you. You have all those beautiful activations within you already that are simply waiting for you to align with yourself so that they can activate and there's no distortion, there's no interference. Your resonance in you is what activates more of you, your infinite self, your divine capacities. The freedom and flow of you is innately contained within you, because the divine isn't stupid. It's not going to make you go looking and searching forever to find exactly what it is that will unlock the next level of you. You have it already, and it isn't coming from outside of you. So anywhere you're still referencing your freedom, your flow, your divine inheritance from anything outside of you, are you willing to release and uncreate that? To bring all those reference points back into your beam of light. You have everything innately within you. It's already there for you to unpack. Your light is waiting for your attention. It's waiting for your allegiance. It's waiting for your commitment. It's waiting for your permission. It's like your attention is your permission to begin to bloom, to activate. It's a perfect divine design. And yes, the reflection can show us, the external can show us, it can point to things for us, can remind us of certain things. But ultimately, it's always about returning within to your light and knowing that your light is the source. It is you. There isn't a separation. And that can be hard for the linear mind to understand. But that's because the linear mind has been conditioned to think in terms of separation. So as you connect to this truth within your beam of light that flows vertically through you, we invite you to breathe into the heart, to relax into the heart, and to invite your higher self to begin retrieving all of your light that you tried to give away from a separation-based perception back to you. Because your light is coded for you. It's meant to be held within your beam to beam you up, literally, to your next level. Everyone else has an infinite source of their own light directly from source. So the most honoring way we can be of service, the highest blessing we can be, is simply to hold our light within our beam and beam it. Because as you do that, you remind others how to access their own light. And that's 5D. Everyone in their beam accessing their infinite supply directly from source. No one is in need of anything from anybody because they already have. Lack doesn't exist. Can we show you what we mean by that? And are you willing to welcome that energetic configuration of you, where you're no longer running your lines of energy horizontally, where you're no longer attempting to get from something outside of you as the source? Let the reflection do whatever it wants. You make your job to hone in on your light, to pledge allegiance to your light, and to begin to activate within you greater levels of your own light directly from source. Just bringing all of your attachment off of everyone and everything external. Your safety does not live in a condition outside of you. Your safety lives in your core. The knowing that you're safe is a divine birthright. Will you activate it now? And will you release and uncreate anywhere where you're attempting to make something outside of you responsible for your safety? Are you willing to release and uncreate anywhere you're trying to make anything outside of you responsible for anything for you? Will you let your higher self hold the responsibility for you at source, so that source gets to be your source again and not some substitute that doesn't really work, that kind of sort of is there sometimes and isn't there other times, and why is this not working? I'm doing my manifestation tools, da 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 da. So ask yourself, if you've been attempting to manifest certain things, have you been attached to the external in that process, to something showing up a certain way in the external? And that type of manifestation is not going to work, especially as we launch even more into 5D, because we're not meant to source anything from without. We're being honed in to source everything within ourselves. And so if you've been experiencing lack of finances, for instance, ask yourself, what is money? What do I think? What have I decided that money is the source of for me? Is it safety? Is it support? Is it freedom? Is it empowerment? Is it peace of mind? Maybe something else. And whatever that is, and maybe it's a few things, it's an indicator of where you've literally made money the energetic source of that quality. And we'll just use freedom as an example. And we've taken a line of energy out of our beam of light, and we've, instead of accessing it at source and holding responsibility to access it at source, we've now given responsibility to money to be freedom for us, and trying to source freedom through money. And just from me saying that, how does that feel energetically? Does it feel like struggle? Yeah. Does it feel like pulling teeth to try to get what we think we need? Does it feel like lack? And so because we're functioning from that separation-based consciousness, we're literally, it's like a beacon of lack energy. I don't have, I have to get. So that's what we keep experiencing, especially in relationship to money. So when we recognize how the metaphysics actually works, we recognize who we are in truth. Oh wait, money isn't the source of anything for me. It just is. Money is actually very neutral, and it'll show up in the reflection however I'm running my energy. It's going to validate what I've chosen to believe. And so are you willing to release and uncreate all the experiences with money, the attachment to the meaning of all the experiences with money that are not honoring, that are not helpful, that perpetuate the illusion of separation from your freedom, from your flow, from your abundance, from your support, your safety, or whatever qualities those are? Retrieve all the responsibility for those qualities off of money. Fire money from being that for you. Money, you don't need to be this for me. I get to be this for me. And bring all of that. And can you feel the empowerment of that? Bring all of that energy, that responsibility back to you, clean, clear, and full of light. All attachment off of money. Retiring any mechanisms or ways of being with money that you were taught or you inherited. Just releasing those energetic grids, those mechanisms that aren't supporting unity consciousness in relationship to not only money, but really, it's more importantly, in relationship to your freedom, to your flow, to your abundance, to your safety, to your support. Deep breath in. fire money from being source for you. Not because we're resisting money, not because we're judging money, but because we're stepping into a new way of being with the experience of ourselves as source for ourselves, no longer requiring the learning in separation consciousness. So can we show you all the lessons you're meant to learn through those past experiences in lack or limitation or not free, not empowered, not safe, not supported? And will you activate the mastery of those lessons now from the recognition that it was never true? It was an experience I had because the reflection, the experience will always show me what I've agreed to. Doesn't make it true. Yes, I had that experience of not having money at some point, but it didn't mean that I didn't have. It didn't mean that I wasn't abundant. It didn't mean I wasn't already free. It didn't mean I wasn't safe. It didn't mean I wasn't infinitely supported. It didn't mean I wasn't fill in the blank. Will you release all the meaning? And everywhere you've given the having or not having of money the power to define you, will you let that go? Deep breath in. Bring all your energy back to you, or your reference points for all those qualities back to your beam of light. And then updating your energetic grids that you use to function with finances in this realm to a more empowered, sovereign, oneness-based place. Inviting the body to do the same with all of this. We've been working with the body deva as well throughout. Retiring any, again, financial grids that were the old separation-based systems. Bringing forward your new luminous fifth dimensional unity consciousness grids with regard to functioning in this realm and finances and anything else related to those qualities we looked at. Freedom, the empowerment, the identification of self in relationship to all of it, just upgrading that into a more expanded, higher octave. Because the truth of you is, you're already free. No matter what you have or have not experienced with regard to your physical needs, your physical expression, you are already loved, you are already supported, you are already safe, you are already infinitely abundant. That will always be true. So are you willing to release any judgment you've given the past with regard to your experience in the physical realm? Because again, we're going to reiterate, we are at a launch point right now into the new. So are you willing to let go of what you can't take with you so that you can actually launch, so that you can actually rewire, reconfigure your energetic matrix into a place of congruence with the fifth dimensional version of you, because that already exists. Can we show you what we mean by that? And can we show you how to connect to the you that's already in that knowing of your divine blueprint, of the infinite support and safety and freedom and flow that you already have access to? And we're going to invite that aspect of you to begin sending you appropriate energetic information on how to rewire into the freedom and the flow and the grace of you, the grace and ease of you, the part of you that's already completely relaxed in the knowing that you have infinite source at your fingertips. So it's like there's no need there. I already have is really the vibration of that. So, and you could call that abundance. For some of you, that would be the way to point to it, but depending on your history and how you define things with words, the best way we can point to the vibration you're being invited into right now is, I already have. So if you already had everything you deeply desired to have, what would that feel like? And I wonder what it would take for you to activate that within you and to release the stories that I don't have or I don't get to have, to release any resentment toward God or parents or job or self or whoever, anywhere you made someone else responsible for you having or not having, or even made yourself responsible and are like holding guilt or resentment. Are you willing to release and uncreate all of that? Can we support you in evolving your consciousness beyond the need to blame, beyond the victim identifications that simply perpetuate the illusion of disempowerment? There's nothing wrong with it. We learn through that experience. So are you willing to release all the judgment of yourself for playing in that identification of you, that false identification of you as a victim, and to activate the mastery of those lessons now? Allowing yourself, if you're willing, to welcome the next evolutionary expression of you beyond the struggle. Are you willing to retire struggle as a mechanism for evolution? And you can invite your higher self to do that for you. And whatever doesn't allow that, are you willing to release and uncreate it? Deep breath in. We're inviting the body, David, into these same choices for itself. Can we remind you what it feels like, how to, and that it's safe to be in the grace and flow and having of your being? And are you willing to activate the appropriate energies within you, the appropriate templates within you, to welcome that experience of yourself moving forward? And what if it was actually time in your evolutionary path for you to completely graduate into evolving from the desire to simply be more of you, the desire to expand? And what if that automatically plugs you into grace and flow, divine synchronicity, divine support, abundance, joy, freedom? And what if that is your purpose? And it can show up as different ways that we express ourselves, but ultimately, purpose is a vibration that's within your being already. You can think of it as an encoded resonance. Can we show you what we mean by that? And are you willing to release your attachment to it needing to be a thing in the physical realm right now? And bring the attachment back to your being. Imagine purpose being a specific resonance, literally like if we were to hit a tuning fork and we hear that resonance, we feel that resonance, we can feel the vibration of it. What if your purpose is like that? It's a resonance of you that part of you knows fully. And you can invite the part of you that knows to activate it. There you go. Deep breath in. So the journey back to you, your light, your grace, your flow, it's all qualities of your light, is really about not trying to get it in the external anymore. And reminding ourselves, it's like we're in a learning, oh, it's not there. It's not out here. That's the reflection. I activate it within me. I reference it within me. And I hold the responsibility for activating it at the level of my higher self. And I hold the responsibility for choosing to activate it at this level. And I work with myself as an energetic, divine blueprint that I am. And oh, life gets so much easier because I already have every single resonance and access to infinite supply within my light. Infinite supply of all good things, of all things that I deeply desire. And then we become less and less attached to how it shows up, when it shows up, if it shows up, because we already have it. It doesn't, this is, whatever this does, it does. So can we show you that energetic stance where you hold all your attachment on you to go within, to activate it within you, to choose to activate it. And you hold responsibility for choosing to activate it. You let your higher self hold the responsibility for the activation. But you have to choose it, ask, and receive. Deep breath in. And so as we continue to navigate this launch point, I'm being shown different timeline possibilities. And we're in a very auspicious kind of place where we can choose the highest available. And we can invite the energetic support to leap even higher. And how do we do that? So when we speak in terms of activating or accelerating or evolving or shifting, all of this is done by your higher self for you. What we do is communicate certain information to your higher self, but you do this for you. We're not doing it for you. That would be disempowering. And then you wouldn't be able to hold it as easily. But by us demonstrating to you in the higher realms, okay, this is how to run this energy. This is what this resonance is, reminding you of certain things that are your divine, innate birthright. Then the part of you that knows will activate it for you, will move into it as you choose to invite it for you from this level. Because free will is a thing. So when we talk about this idea, and you can do this really anytime that you feel called, but this particular time I'm being shown just a lot of turbulence that's happening in order to create the momentum for an upshift. You can simply invite your higher self to bring in the appropriate energetic information, vibrations for you, invite your body to give its higher self to do it for itself, to support you in claiming the highest available timeline that you have access to in this now moment. And to upshift, if it's appropriate, to the next highest timeline that may have appeared to be beyond reach, but now is available because of what you're now choosing for your highest expression, for the highest good of all. Not because we're trying to get something in the external, but simply because we're an infinite being with infinite choice. And in this now moment, we can choose to align with and to leap to the optimal available timeline and trajectory for our current level of consciousness. And then take a deep breath and allow the work to be done. And are you willing to release and uncreate anything that's not allowing that for you? Anything you're trying to cling to that can't go with you into that higher expression? So it's like when we leap, we have to let go. That's the other prerequisite. It's like take the hand of your higher self and then let go. Trust. Because if we're trying to hold on to an identity, to a situation, a circumstance, a certain experience of ourselves, an identity of ourselves, and we can't leap and hold on at the same time. And we know you get that. It isn't always easy. But the more you recognize that your purpose is to always go to the higher, 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 more, 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 that's really innately a part of your evolutionary blueprint. And as you follow the light, follow the energy into that expansion, you are innately accessing your infinite capacities, your infinite supply, your infinite freedom and flow. Because you can't be that much welcoming and freedom and not have it at the same time. It's a simultaneous thing. So we're going to show you what we mean by that. And now we're just watching some energy shift. And are you willing to let go what isn't yours, that you may be trying to process, that is holding you back in some way? We're working with the body deva in this as well. Deep breath in. Deep breath into the heart. And now we're going to support in the grounding in of this higher octave as you reference within your beam your unique grounding mechanisms, inviting the anchoring, the grounding into this highest timeline and fifth dimensional Gaia. Support fabric of fifth dimensional Gaia for the body deva as well. Referencing fifth dimensional Gaia as the Gaia you're incarnated with. We're going to show you the difference. Are you willing to let go of anywhere you think Gaia is not a fully empowered being of light and that she somehow needs saved? She is in her perfect evolutionary leap right now into her next expression, and she knows how to do it. So a piece of this they're showing me is anywhere you've decided that anything right now is less than divine order, less than perfect. Are you willing to release and uncreate that? Are you willing to release all the meaning you've given it? Will you let it be the exact script that creates this evolutionary leap into fifth dimensional golden age, new earth, brilliance? And they're kind of joking now with us. They're like, what did you think it was going to look like? That one morning we would just wake up and we would be on this utopia 5D Gaia that's already functioning in the new systems. And eventually we will, but then we'll look back and go, oh, wow, that happened pretty fast considering all that has changed. But yeah, we're in the midst of it. We're in the midst of the evolution. And it doesn't have to be a struggle, they're saying. It doesn't have to be a struggle. So we're going to show you what we mean by that. And will you welcome that perception for you, the perception that we're literally seeing right now and sharing, will you welcome that way of perceiving what's going on? Because what we notice is there are some in this transition, and there's nothing wrong or bad about any of this, it's just an observation. There are some focused on what's leaving the planet right now. There are some focused on the struggle and the conflict and maybe the karma that is completing itself that can't go into 5D. And there are some focused on, oh my gosh, the sky looks brighter than I've ever seen it. Oh my gosh, the sunset looks neon to me right now. Oh my gosh, this plant is so vibrant. Or in other words, there are those connecting to the fifth dimensional expressions that are already happening. So you get to decide for you, and you can choose in this moment. Higher self, will you support me in focusing on where we're going, what we're welcoming, and to notice and celebrate when things are different, because the difference is something to celebrate, because it means something just shifted into the new, or it's on a stepping stone into the new. It's all the change right now. They're inviting you to celebrate because it's bringing about exactly what you've been asking for. And deep breath in. So this question is stepping forward. And it's basically, shouldn't I be sending love and light to people or the planet right now? So when you say sending love and light, does that mean you're seeing yourself horizontally sending love and light to something outside of you? And remember that love and light that flows through you is coded for you, for your beam. You're just meant to beam it and have it and enjoy being it and having it. And so as you just enjoy being and having it, you're elevating the frequency of all life, and you are creating a coherent vibrational field that impacts hundreds of thousands of people and life on the planet in general, in the vicinity of where you are. By you being in that coherence, in the oneness, in the sovereignty, not in, oh, here, let me give you my light because you don't have any. Can you feel that? We don't mean that you're doing that consciously, but that's what happens on an energetic level. Let me give you my light because you lack. And when we do that, we affirm lack. And we've now stepped out of oneness into separation consciousness. And we know this is a controversial topic sometimes because a lot of light workers have been trained to send their light. But if you really feel into the truth of this, with every single being is an emanation of infinite source, then wouldn't it be helpful just to beam that infinite empowered state of consciousness that has, so that other beings can go, oh, that's how you have, that's how you be who you are. Oh, let me try that. That's what the Ascended Masters do. They beam. They beam their essence. They beam their qualities. They never disempower another. But they demonstrate what's possible, which energetically invites the one in their presence to activate within themselves their own gifts, wisdom, mastery, abundance, love, joy, infinite source. And so as we are crossing this threshold into oneness, into unity consciousness, there's some relearning that is a part of it. And so we would invite you to practice beaming your light, holding your light on you, attaching all your control to only being your light and not trying to control anything outside of you. And watch the magic happen, where you get to become a living expression of what it's like to be one with an infinite source and to know yourself as that. And that is what this realm is thirsty for right now, is the demonstration of fifth dimensional consciousness. And we can send them appropriate energetic information in the higher realms if we think someone is in a spot that isn't honoring for them. But recognize that just because you're ready to graduate out of struggle as a mechanism for evolution, not everyone is. And just as in your own evolutionary journey, struggle was a part of your evolution and was a catalyst for your evolution, for this one, they may not be on the same step you're on. They may still be learning and using struggle as a motivator. And that's okay. And you can hold compassion for them, but don't feel sorry for them, because that's basically saying energetically, you're weak. You shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Oh, I feel bad for you, which then creates a horizontal line of energy that makes you their source. It creates a codependent line of energy, and then you start to try to process their stuff for them. And that sets up a whole nother session we could do. But just simply recognize that it takes you out of sovereignty and into codependence, into separation consciousness, and it's disempowering for you and for them. And that's part of the learning we're doing right now, is to recognize that that isn't helpful. And so we retrain our perception. Oh, look at them evolving like a rock star. You go. We don't say that to them, right? But we can think that about them instead of thinking, oh, poor so-and-so. Look at them. No, they're a badass. They're evolving eons of old stuff right now. It might not look pretty, but we have to stay out of judgment of that. Remind ourselves that their higher self is in charge of their own evolutionary journey. And that, yes, we've probably at some point encountered struggle, and we shifted it. We shifted beyond it. We used it as fuel for evolution. And that's the step they're on. So this idea of holding the space for others to be in their own free will choice, to be in their own space of where they are in their evolution and their spiral, and honoring that, that's a big piece to staying in our own lane, staying in, allowing grace flow. Because as soon as we go into, oh, something's wrong here, we take ourselves out of that truth of divine perfection, that truth of the divine design, that all beings are supported, safe and loved, no matter what's expressing, because that's the absolute truth. So we're going to bring in some energetic downloads to help bridge you into knowing this for yourself and others, and to kind of in a time release way, support you in welcoming this perception for you, so that it's easier for you to stay in your own lane, in your own beam, only attached and responsible for your evolution in an empowered way that then empowers others to do it for themselves. And it's like, if you connect to the idea of that, can you feel the domino effect? If I'm a being of light in my own lane, holding all my creative energy on myself, activating my own resonances of purpose and power and grace and flow and abundance and joy within me, letting others do whatever they choose, because that's not my job to choose for them. And modeling, demonstrating to others how to function as a being of light who already has access to everything, who already has an infinite supply flowing through in every moment, this person, this being sees it, they start to pick up on how to run their energy. This person sees it, they start to pick up on how to run their energy, and eventually more and more and more are doing it. And eventually it becomes the new normal. And we'll use that in a good way. We could say that in a tongue-in-cheek way. What if the new normal, every time you hear that now, you could laugh and say, yeah, I know what the new normal is. I know where we're going. Yay, that's where we're going. No matter what the external is doing, it's just shaking everything out. And they're saying, don't let it scare you. It's intended to scare you by those perpetuating it, but don't let it scare you. Remember who you are and be unafraid. Because the new normal is fifth dimensional Gaia. And there isn't a timeline available now that is not an ascension timeline. There's no going back. So celebrate that. Celebrate that you are a big part of why this was possible for everyone on the planet and for Gaia. You incarnating here, you simply existing here has been of great service. So take a moment and celebrate that. That even if you think you haven't been doing anything, you've been doing a lot. Deep breath in, and you're very much a contribution and of value. So we're going to bring in that also to help support you in remembering that no matter what you appear to do or don't do in your daily life, you're a massive contribution to the evolution of consciousness. Deep breath in. Beautiful, beautiful. And we're going to have a few more months of, stuff. But like they're inviting, it's like, invite your higher self to show you what's blooming right now, what's actually emerging, because it's really beautiful. It's really amazing. And know that this phase is temporary. It's very temporary. In fact, when we look back on this, we're going to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe it was done with that much grace and ease in that short amount of time, because it's a huge overhaul. It's like when you're remodeling a house and it looks messy for a while, but then everything gets put back and it's all fresh and new and upgraded and da-da-da. That's what's happening. So trust and know that you're divinely supported through this. Divine order is in place, even if it doesn't look like it. And use your spiritual tools that you have to process your triggers and to welcome the next level of you. We also would encourage you to re-listen to this recording. We're going to post it to our YouTube channel later on this evening. We have other videos out there too. You're welcome to access at any time. But when you re-listen to the steps we did, we used money as an example with regard to maybe where we'd given money responsibility for our freedom or for our support or for our safety. You can use that same energetic piece with anything. So when you re-listen to it, you could do it with something else that you may have given your power to or made source for you, and just replace the word money with whatever that is. And it's a very powerful, energetic rewiring that we did with that. So you can re-listen to that with money over and over if it's something you've been kind of in an interesting relationship with for a while, or you can change out using it with money for maybe your career or a certain relationship with someone or whatever it is. And it will apply. It will be the same set of energetic protocols. And your higher self, remember, is doing the work for you. Your higher self is always present with you. Your guides, your advisors, the Council of Light is always present with you. And if you invite them, they will support that as well. So beautiful. And I just want to take a moment to invite you, if you want to join us for more of this kind of collaboration. We are going to be doing a 5-day immersion, activating your divine purpose and potentials, which this feels like a launch for, right? This, and as well as a couple sessions we've done in the past, aligning with your purpose, and some of our other YouTube offerings. it feels like it's taking us into this energy of this 5-day immersion that we're going to be offering virtually September 19th through the 23rd. And that is over the equinox. 2020, what a year. So many potentials are here this year that weren't even here before. So that's one of the things I'm speaking to. It's like energetically, the potentials are off the charts because we've already elevated to higher octaves. It just hasn't outpictured yet. There's still things reorganizing here in this realm, but we have access to much higher expressions and vibrations than ever in this realm. So celebrate that. And you can learn more about the immersion if you want to join us for that on our website. And I put a link in the chat here. So we'd love to have you. And we're offering a reduced rate through the 29th of August. So a couple more days yet if you want to go check that out. And you can also, and it's going to be interactive, they want me to say, because it's not just me sharing like this. It'll also be the Council of Light and myself in more of a roundtable format for portions of it where you're able to interact, ask questions, and work on maybe something more personal for you. Right now, it's a smaller group. We have, I think, 10 people total registered right now. So know that it is an interactive, and it kind of flows back and forth from a transmission to more of an interactive kind of flow. And the energy always flows beautifully. And it's like when you sign up, you connect with the higher selves of the group, the Council of Light, and the work begins. So when we meet in the physical and we talk and we exchange and we interact, it just flows perfectly because the energy knows what to do. It's already kind of been decided in the higher realms to some extent. Even though as we're interacting, the potentials can grow and grow and grow, which is why the 5 days is so powerful, because there's a momentum that happens when we meet every day for 5 consecutive days. So feel into it. And the thing is about the immersions, you'll know if it speaks to you. You'll just know, oh, wow, yeah, that's something I'm really being called to. And that's expansion calling. So you can answer the call if you choose. And they're saying it's your higher potentials calling you to them. So that's an opportunity to join us for if you're ready for a big shift for you. And then we also have 2 other offerings we're doing in September, because this is just such a very, like we said, heightened potentials, a lot happening. So we're going to be doing a group interactive 2-hour healing session on September 5th. And you can learn more about that on our website. We have, I think, 4 people registered for that so far. So it's a smaller group. And it's more like a private session where, you know, if you're okay with sharing in a group energy, you can get that kind of personal interaction without doing a full-on private session. So it's helpful for some of you. And then also, we're offering the 9/9 portal transmission, which is an embodied divine light transmission on September 9th. And if you look at the date, it's actually 09/09/2020. So it's like that mirror, the palindrome mirror image, and it's a very auspicious gateway portal, but there are many this year. It's like, it keeps ramping up. And so for this phase that we're in, which is more of the really welcoming phase, the first half of the year was more shedding. And this is more, okay, what are we welcoming? What are we moving into? That's really the energies of more of an ascension energy for the 9/9 portal, as well as for the immersion, because the equinox is all about malleability, change, like things are very malleable at that time. The veils are really thin and we can ascend much easier. So thank you all so much for your willingness to evolve consciously. Celebrate that you're able to, and that you've reached that phase of your evolution where you can consciously choose evolution and retire the struggle as a way of being, And re-listen to this as many times as you feel guided. It'll be available for you to do that. We always welcome your feedback, and so much love to each of you for being of service at this time during this massive reorganization into fifth dimensional consciousness. Many blessings and much love to each of you.